Okay, sports fans, we are going to add depth to this flower girl's face. The reason I call her Flower Girl is because she has flowers in her hair, which we are going to do later. Flowers and fruit. In her hair. Gonna liven that up better. Yeah. And some of this. But I'll fix that later. Right now, we are going to add depth. Slow down. We are going to add depth to this face. While putting some color into her face. And some depth into her face. The reason we do this around the eyes is primarily because when we work down, we are actually shaping the nose, you know? As is attached to your face, you know? And you can start to see, although it needs to be worked a little bit, be a little finer, you can start to see the nose right here, the top of the nose. And this is like in between where it attaches to the face. How about that? You know? If you just kind of work on it a bit, touch here and there, then you'll start to actually see there's a little divot in underneath the nose there. You know? Yeah. Now, we'll come over here and add some depth to these eyebrows and take time to do it. and get really close into in between where this part ends and this other part begins. See? And you start to see the depth and there, like that, you know? And the hair against her face right there, strand. And then under the eyebrow, kind of hard to do on this side without getting in the way of the camera. But that's okay. Because after I do this eyebrow, I'm going to go down here all the way to the eyelid for this. And then under the eye. You know, it doesn't have to be, you don't have to push down so hard on the pencil. You know, it's better if it's lighter, you know, in some spots, like around the eyes. It's better if it's lighter. Now you see. Noses are hard. At least they've always been hard for me. But when you go around all of these things, you can come back and go in between with lighter, you know. And up by the hairline. It doesn't have to be a lot. We can come down here. You know, this really looks different on camera than it does actually in real life, you know. The camera takes a certain amount. It just looks different, and the lighting and stuff. But still. Oops, sorry. Sorry about that. It's okay if it's a little darker towards the lines, but then you need to come out lighter here as you get away from it. And then you can go darker towards the line of the face. you know. And then for depth, you know, around here. There we go. And see, you can see that nose better now. And she's got this little divot in her chin, which is okay. It was an accident. I didn't really mean, but I just left it. I went ahead and left it. Because it looks good, you know. I went ahead and left it. But part of this is dark and light, you know. So, kind of why I left. Sometimes you'll just look at something and just, leave it alone because you're afraid to touch it, you know. And sometimes you look at your own picture and sometimes you just, you know, it doesn't need anything else. Even though parts of it might be crooked. It's art. It's a sketch. You know, it doesn't really have to be perfect. But, you know, like I said in my earlier video, sometimes we're our own worst critic. Okay. I'll be back later with more. I don't know what yet, but I will be back later with more. Ta-ta, peeps.